And welcome to Combat Squad Fight Sports Podcast. I am here with the one and only Coach Wood of Parabellum Boxing. Thank you for being on your very first interview.
Of
Very
course.
honored to have you. Me and you have history, but for some of the guys that might not know exactly who you are and are not, familiar, can you please just give them a brief introduction? Who you are, what got you into boxing? If you come from a specific boxing tree, let's just give a brand new audience a little piece on who Coach Wood is.
Coach Wood, owner and operator of Parabellum Boxing. I mean, I've been into boxing probably about 10 years. I came up in random gyms in the Philly scene. I came up training under Bozy, Ivan Robinson, learned from Coach Rell, all the major coaches. I've learned from almost all of them, honestly. And I've been training for about 6 years. Amateurs mostly. I've worked with professionals. But, I'm mostly into the amateurs, looking to get my guys started for the most part.
Sounds good. And I've been witness to all the work you do with a lot of the youth in the Philadelphia area. Did you compete when you were younger at all?
I didn't. I sparred, but it was like
Oh,
just
yeah,
random.
I didn't
Yeah.
see you get busy. I didn't see you get busy.
Yeah.
I didn't see you get busy for anybody because some people get the misconception that because some coaches don't have official records that they can't get busy.
Right. I just
Please
sparred this
don't.
morning, actually. I sparred one of
Please
my
don't think
guys. I
it's
will
like
always
that.
help my guys get ready. So I just sparred them 8 rounds this morning.
Man, and speaking to those amateur guys, and some of my guys have had the pleasure of working with your guys. When you are, essentially taking those fighters who might have very limited experience, essentially you're getting them from the crib. Like,
Right.
not, and I know it's hard to draw parallels between other sports, but let's just say high end to like Olympic level, world champion level in boxing. Let's just say that's the college. You
Right.
are kind of playing like the high school to college route in terms of you're getting these kids when they're fresh.
Yeah, it's like
You yeah,
elementary school
you're
from the
essentially
first steps.
right. You're laying the bricks for what might be, the rest of their career if they
Right.
continue down with that. How do you really take on your not only the responsibility of that, but the approach? Because to be honest, you're in a position that a lot of coaches at the high end wish they had. At the high end, a lot of the times, if you're working with pro world champions, a lot of times they've been trained already. And if
Right.
we're honest, like a lot of those coaches are just, pad men on, at the end of the career, and they don't really add too much value. Maybe they
Right.
might be a good personality to have in camp, somebody to get you really keyed in. But
Right.
in terms of like the base, you are the guy that's going to be responsible for providing the base. If you take them all the way to the pros, or if you hand them off to one of your contemporaries and let them kind of manage more on the pro side. How do you take that on, brother? Because that's hard. That's hard.
It is. But I actually rather start guys from the bottom because, like you said, they are. If they come to me already trained, some guys already think they know everything, and then it's a little harder to make them realize that, like, nah, you messing some stuff up, and you came to me for a reason. So,
Right.
but yeah, I rather that. A lot of these I've heard, like a lot of the higher level coaches that do mostly pros don't want to start guys from the bottom.
They don't know
A
how
lot of them
to.
don't. A lot of them don't. So I mean, I actually like it more. It's just a tough responsibility because you have to take your time. You have to take your
Mm-hmm.
time with them. And sometimes even us as coaches, we get bored taking our time. We
A
get bored
hundred
with it taking
percent.
our time, but I realize how important it is starting with the feet, starting with the very basics. Because a lot of guys rush the process and they want to just
Mm-hmm.
go to the fancy stuff and go to the pads and this and
All the
that.
Instagram stuff, yeah.
Right. And I call it having sizzle with no steak. You got all the flashy stuff, you got all the sound, you got all the us and all the shoulder rolls and everything. But when a fight break out, you don't know what to do.
Can't
You
even
don't
go
know
left
where
and
to have
right.
your feet at. You don't know where to put your hands. You don't know how to preserve your gas tank. And then people fall apart when they got all the sizzle but no steak, no foundation under it.
100%, brother. And you know what? Even when it comes to a lot of these high end coaches, you can see guys who weren't developed at the root well.
Right.
Like I give a perfect example of Devin Haney when he fought Cambosa. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing his name, but
Oh,
if you
Cambosis,
remember,
yeah,
yeah, Cambosa. If you remember in that fight, Devin Haney just took him to the right. He just made him fight behind his jab. Like
exactly.
when someone isn't running into your right hand or standing 50-50 right in front of
Hmm.
you,
A lot
it's
of
like,
guys
bro,
fall apart.
you can't box going left. But he won a world title like that.
He won
He
a
won a
world
world.
title on a flat and not 100% Tiafimo, and Tiafimo was overlooking him.
Look, all that can be true, but we got,
I
if
mean,
it
a win
comes
is a
to
win.
him, yeah, a win is a win. You got guys like him. You got guys like, um, what's his name, Rolly, or anybody from that camp. To be honest,
For sure, for sure.
anybody from that camp. To be honest,
True,
and
true.
when you see them, you see the lack of the foundation. You could tell, like again, at that high school level, they weren't developed. There's many reasons. Sometimes guys get into it later on in life and they don't feel like they have time to actually have an amateur career,
Right,
or they feel like they just got to jump in. Sometimes it's a necessity. Like I need money right now. So
right,
some guys just start fighting for the money of it, and they just. But you see it when those guys don't have it, and it's time to actually get put in a position where, okay, it's not about who has more heart. You do have to go left. You do have to go right. And you don't have to just sit in front of a guy all day exchanging punches and taking
right,
punches on the most part, especially when you don't have a foundation. Like so what you do again is much more valuable than some people may see, on top of the fact that you're providing a lot of service to the youth in the city. A lot. This might be an outlet for more people than guys outside our realm might even realize.
right,
Like
right.
this keeps a lot of kids from getting into a situation, especially in our city. As
Yeah,
violent as it is, you got a lot of kids with rage out here, and what you do gives them a like perfect outlet to where again they can express that rage, they can express all that, but in a constructive manner. But again, it's hard when you're in, because now you have to not just take the part of foundational trainer, but also it's like almost damn near like a kid psychiatrist, even when sometimes the
yeah,
kids are grown men.
yeah.
So how does
It's
you take
true.
on that part of just like having to absorb and be empathetic and understand where these kids come from, what their background is, and still channeling that into discipline?
I mean, I started out when I was young as an angry kid, an angry kid. So I, as I grew older, like I would say about 27 to now, I realized that how I came through it, I can help other kids come through it and get more balance and get like, of course, we're all going to still have our issues and our anger and this and that, but we got to learn how to navigate our emotions and navigate our feelings and make sure we know what to do with that aggression. We don't want to rage out. Like it's a tough road, but it's imperative for these kids out here because it's rough. And I'm even trying to put programs into what I do now that I pay for their membership to the gym so they can at least just
Mm,
come in and hit the bag or something like that. I just want to give
mm.
them an outlet because I realized a lot of kids didn't have that.
Yeah, especially in our city where, as much as they want to collect the taxes in the city, we are seeing more and more rec centers close down. More and
Yes.
more, yeah, we're seeing less and less accessible, um, or like areas where you can, put in a structured program like that. And if
Mm-hmm.
you do have access to it, you damn near got to be the manager, the janitor,
Yeah.
on
You
top of
got to
all
have
of it.
every hat.
Yeah, so it's like you're not even receiving a whole bunch of help unless it is through patrons and your clients, parents
Right.
of the kids, etc. So again, that is highly appreciated. And if you, I know you do get credit for it, but if you ever not celebrated enough, I am giving you this. It is
I
appreciated
appreciate it. I
from a native
appreciate
of
it.
the city. But that leads us right into our next thing in terms of people learning to control their emotions, especially when they're young. The day of this recording, this is actually the day of the Ryan Garcia Devin Haney fight.
Yeah.
And we want to talk about a kid learning how to control his emotions and also missing a lot of that foundational work. I guess Ryan Garcia is the perfect example of both of those things. I mean, there is no misunderstanding. That kid is talented more than
Right.
most people give him credit for, and he is one of the most athletic talents out of the bunch. I think him and Tio are kind of tied for
Yeah.
physically. They can do everything. You want to
I
talk about
agree.
speed, the height, the length, the I mean, the power is ridiculous. The arm angles is almost like he can throw shots. Almost not to say skill wise, but like you ever see like
Right, off
football,
any
Pat.
platform.
Yeah. Pat, like a Pat Mahomes or Matthew Stafford,
Right,
where they can almost wing it underhanded, hit
right.
the hole, and it's still going to come out as if it was structurally perfect, and
I
it's not.
agree.
Especially with those slapping left hooks and like fadeaway uppercuts the kid throws. He's as dangerous kids. But the foundation isn't there, and
Right.
just mentally, it just I think sometimes that moment is a little too big for kids of that age, and I
Hmm.
get it. Sometimes it's like
It's a
you
lot of stress.
that's a lot of stress, especially kids who don't come from it. Just have $500,000 in 20s in front of you. Like
Right,
most kids, if you set $500,000 in 20s in front of them, they would think it was $1 billion.
right.
So for you to have that at that age, it's hard, man. It is really hard for a kid to balance that out, especially when it seems like he's not being handled right. Obviously, Oscar De La Hoya, some other things going on there.
Yeah,
It seemed like when he was with Canelo and his camp, it seemed like he reined it in a little bit, but the
right.
second he left, what's your whole take first and foremost on just what you can evaluate mentally from Ryan? Is this an act? Because obviously a lot of people are saying this is an act to kind of throw Devin Haney off, and he's really going to show up as sharp as he ever could. Which I mean, ever been, which could happen. But what's your take on
I think it's one of two things. Either he's a genius or he's a fool.
it?
But as
Yeah.
far as how he's acting and everything, a lot of this, I don't think it's a complete act. A lot of this is giving me like Disney child star vibes. Like
Yeah.
he's reaching that point where he's breaking mentally over all the stress and all the money and everything, and everybody's handling him, everybody's pulling him in different directions, and he's starting to crack.
Hmm.
It's giving me that child star that grew up and now he doesn't know what to do with himself. He doesn't know who he is. He doesn't know where he wants to go. He doesn't know what he. I don't even think he loves boxing as much as he used to because all the
Mm.
stress put on it now. When he was an
Yeah.
amateur, it was fun. It was easier. Everything was what he wanted to do.
Worked his ass off too, that
Right. And he
kid.
worked his ass off, but that's because he wanted to. Now he has to
Yeah.
work his ass off because a lot of other people's money is on him. So now it's stress instead of passion.
Yeah,
So
especially
now I
with
think
the
he's
changing
breaking.
camp. Yeah, with the
Yeah.
changing camps, and obviously, the Oscar De La Hoya management has always been in question, and
Right.
his
Right.
whole team. And not saying that specifically trickles down to Bernard, but you would hope that Bernard would be more of a adult ear in a kid that talented's career. But
I haven't seen it.
that's not his responsibility. I'm just
Right,
saying. I'm just saying I can't put that on
right.
another guy from the city. But like you said, genius or fool, regardless of what he thinks, what we think of it, he's got to show up tonight. Is there realistically a path outside of that left hook coming from out of nowhere? Which Devin Haney and his team, they've devised many ways of taking that left hook away. It's not going to just be a one part, just keep your hand up system. They're gonna have a million reps pulling off of it, getting up underneath it,
Right.
blocking it, sitting on it, and then even probably countering off of it. Do you see any path for Ryan to actually win this fight outside of just catching Haney?
Like you said, it's boxing. It's a puncher's chance. I think he
Mm,
has that puncher's chance, of course, but he's going to have to take risks, just like he had to do with Tank. I think he has a better chance against Devin because he doesn't have Tank's power
mm.
and Tank's patience and everything, but Devin does have the footwork. And
And
Devin's, of course, even more patient than Tank, so it's going to be harder to catch him. But Tank's countering ability, I think, is better than Devin's because he'll
agreed.
read you and react in like that.
Hmm.
And Tank got the power to put you down, but Devin's gonna
Yeah,
have to box you all night, so he's gonna have to corner him, which is gonna be tough because I haven't seen great footwork from him. But there's a path. It's just gonna be a tough one.
there's been some more speculation, and this has been actually from more the MMA guy side. We tend to have a different perspective on it. Whenever in MMA you see a guy come in overweight and they accept the fight, it's a wild number. We just looked it up. That person who weighed in over wins 74% of the time. For
Wow.
good reason, because
Right.
you're significantly bigger. And you see Ryan obviously drinking on the scale, making a whole spectacle of it, and then Devin Haney's camp still accepting it. Like, we know that, especially in boxing, because like you can't lean on guys or hold them the same way that you can in MMA because of the wrestling, but still, that makes a big difference. Those 3 pounds on the scale can turn into 10 pounds the day of the fight.
Right.
If you got a Ryan Garcia who didn't work that hard to cut, we already know he looks bigger than he ever really has. He looks bigger, and just from his open workouts, it doesn't look like he's lost a step athletically. Maybe skill wise, but that was already in question.
Right.
But if you get a Ryan Garcia that's potentially 10 plus pounds bigger than Devin Haney, still has all this same dangerous athleticism, is it really a smart idea for Haney? I get, like, obviously you're the main event. No one wants to cancel a fight. No one ever wants to do that. It's just horrible for the business. If you're in Devin Haney's camp, are you taking this simply because of the pressure of the fight, or do you truly believe even if this guy shows up significantly bigger, which again is going to impact not just his ability to give a punch, but also to take a punch?
Right.
So and we're already not punchers. What's the reason you take that fight? Is it just like, I know I'm going to smoke him, or is it at this point we just got to get it over with?
I think it's a combination of them. Nobody's going to lose the PPV over 3 pounds,
right?
Because then they don't get paid.
Right.
They want their money, and this way, honestly, it kind of takes some of the pressure off it because now he can't lose the belt,
right?
And he gets paid more. And I believe I think he believes he's skilled enough to still outbox him, because guess what? Devin comes in heavy too on fight night.
Mm-hmm.
So he's probably going to be 160.
Yeah.
He's probably going to be 155 to 160.
Against Regis, he looked massive.
He was like, I think they said he came in at like 160.
Yeah, he looked a couple weight classes bigger than Regis.
He looked way bigger.
Like, it didn't look okay. Obviously, that won't be the case with Ryan,
right?
Just because they have familiarity with each other. Obviously, the old sparring videos and those for years ago. Even though Ryan still looks close to that, and Devin Haney's a completely different fighter,
right?
You still know, like, I touched a guy and he oofed. Like,
right?
you like, in your head, you can't take that away. And I wonder if some of that, if he did have those moments, confidence in Ryan Garcia might come out in the fight and allow him to perform better than we think. If you got to put money down right now, call the fight to a T. How do you see it going? If it's a stoppage, pick a round. If it's not a stoppage, give me what you think the scorecards will look like.
I think it's going to end either one or two ways. It's going to be Devin by unanimous decision, or Ryan's going to probably like quit on the stool late 10, something like that.
You think Ryan going to quit?
I think if he's getting his eye jab closed, then probably. I think if he gets frustrated to the point, or he's gassing to the point, because like you said, if he comes in that heavy, Devin still can move. And you're going to have to carry that weight around that ring for 12 rounds. So I can see if he's getting his eye jab closed and he's getting tired, he's getting winded, and he's starting to take more shots, I feel like he could just, all right, I already got paid, I'm out of here. Because it doesn't seem like he's taking this fight very seriously at all. I really think he wants to get out from under Golden Boy. So he's just trashing this whole thing.
Maybe.
I think he wants to make Golden Boy look as bad as possible to get out from under them.
And he'll just say it was
a theory of mine.
Some master plan. That's what he'll say. It was some master plan that was divined by God.
Right. And my wife said that he's making everything line up for his plea when he loses. So, my mental health was wrong. Oh, it's this, it was that. So
that is an interest. That is
come
interesting.
Up with every excuse in the book, because you saw how I was throughout this whole fight.
Yeah,
and then 100%. That would discredit Devin.
Exactly. Try to take some of the sizzle off that.
Right. So even if he loses, he wins.
Yeah, I see exactly where you're coming from. That's an interesting take. That's true though. It's just always sometimes weird for me for guys to prep to lose, even though we know it's a thing. Everyone in the sport knows the thing. Guys will give everything. My shoulder was fucked up. It
For
was
sure.
this. Everybody wants to Manny Pacquiao their way out of a loss, but it's not going. That's not how it's going to go. It was your decision. Look, man. At the end of the day, you grown. Whatever you did and didn't do in
Yeah,
camp,
some
that's
guys
going to fall
do
on
just
you.
want to get paid.
Yeah, I've even heard some. I believe it was. I don't want to say Tim Bradley, but it sounds like a Tim Bradley take. um,
You
Tim
know how he
Bradley.
get.
Tim Bradley was like, and if it wasn't Tim Bradley, I apologize. But some reporter brought up that because he quit against Tank when he got hit with that body shot and didn't get back up, he is going to not quit in this fight. He knows he has something to prove. And as a competitor myself, I can say, if someone quits once,
They'll
it's
quit again.
they're quit easier the next time.
Right.
I do not believe that. And if for some reason he gets to that breaking point and he pushes through that door, even if he shows that heart in this fight, I would be surprised. I think that would be a moral victory. And like you said, he already done prepped himself for the loss.
Right.
He can still keep some market value. But, hey, fights aren't won on paper, though. And this prediction game is hard sometimes.
Not at all.
So, but I do want to thank you again for everyone listening. If you just got the audio of it, please follow Coach Wood on all platforms at Parabellum Boxing on Instagram, also under at Coach Wood, Coach_Wood_PB. Everything will be plugged in the description. I should have a little floating tag in this video. I want to thank Coach Wood again for being our first official interview on this platform. We hope to have him back many more times.
Anytime.
And as much content as possible. Please, Coach Wood, if you have anything to plug, drop it right here.
You pretty much got it all. Parabellum Boxing, Coach_Wood_PB, Parabellum Boxing on Instagram. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
I want to thank you for being on our show again, and we'll catch up with you soon.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.